guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. We made it to Wednesday night, guys. Yes. In this very, very, very special week. For America, anyway. 250 is a big deal. Big, big, big deal. So, I have to go pick up my son from work very shortly. And he's an hour away. So it's an hour to get there and an hour to get back. So, there's no way I can stay with you guys the whole stream today. But Tiffany will be here. And she's very mean, so be careful. And not only that, she's sleeping right now. So I have to wake her up to come in and take over my stream. Oh yeah, that one's gonna get grumpy on y'all. Alright, so I put everything in one long clip. So she's not gonna have to press any buttons. Hopefully. She's just gonna sit here and watch the stream for me when I leave. I'll let you know when I leave though. Don't worry. We'll watch a little bit of Colorado. They're both from Colorado. It's actually two clips with multiple cases in one. So she'll be fine. But yeah, they're both from Colorado. Two different judges. We got some people, you know. So, listen, you know how she loves everybody saying hi to everybody. She says she does not understand why or how we all say hello to everybody individually instead of just coming into the room and saying hi. Everybody says hi to everybody individually, and she does not understand that. It's too much for her. But hopefully the power doesn't go out like it did this morning, and hopefully the internet stays strong. But, you know, if anything happens, I don't think she'll be able to recover because she doesn't know this software. But it looks pretty good. It looks steady, stable. I'm not putting Twitch on. Oh, hey Martha, it's July 1st. We're getting closer to August. I can't wait, though. I can't wait. I just want you to feel better. Alright, I'm going to press play. You can get these clips going. I'm still going to be with you for a bit. Don't worry. Here we go.
It looks like you have provided the court with a plea of guilty form. I'm in a waiver of rights form, or same condensed, to the charge of one count of first degree.
Bobby, if you hear sirens, okay? If you hear sirens and I go to jail, I want you to be on the jury and I want you to find me not guilty. I want to see if you can do it.
Criminal trespass, a class 6 felony, designated as an act of domestic violence. Is that your understanding of the agreement?
Yes, sir.
And the state is going to be recommending 18 months probation concurrent with any other probation you're serving. By statute, you're required to do a DV evaluation. They're also going to be requesting a drug and alcohol evaluation. Is that your understanding of the agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
You signed the form?
Yes, sir.
After you reviewed it?
Yes, sir.
You understood it?
Yes.
If you had any questions, did you have enough time to confer with your legal counsel?
I have.
And were you satisfied with the representation you received?
I am.
Other than what's contained in the plea form, has anyone done anything to entice you to enter this plea?
No, sir.
Anyone threatened or coerce you to enter this plea?
No, sir.
So it was voluntary?
Yes.
Now, having signed the form, I'm sure you're aware that you're giving up certain rights by entering the plea of guilty. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You understand you're giving up your right to remain silent?
I am.
Right to be presumed innocent?
Yes.
Right to have a trial, to call and confront witnesses, testify, and have a jury determine whether you're guilty or not guilty?
Yes.
And you're also giving up some appeal rights as well. Understand?
Yes.
Other than, I'm sorry, are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol?
No, sir.
Any medical or mental health conditions that would affect your competency or capacity to enter a plea?
No, sir.
Knowing all that, to the charge of criminal trespass as an act of domestic violence. Do you wish to plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
There's a factual basis. Anything anyone would like to add to that with just contained within the plea paperwork?
Not from the people.
And nothing further from the defense on the
And given the nature of the plea, is there any reason to ask for a PSI?
No, I think that the people that we had anticipated come to me.
And Mr. Kerwin, what would you like the court to know additionally that it hasn't already had a chance to review with respect to
No,
sentencing?
I just asked the court to follow the plea agreement. We're not asking for a PSI other than those as conditions of probation that are set forth in the Rule 11.
That's right.
Your Honor, and as far as the sentence to be imposed, obviously we'd ask the court to impose the 18 months. I did want to put Mr. Quinn's concurrent struggles into some perspective. I know the court typically does order community service as part of probation. Mr. Quinn has had a rough few years, and in this case, he went to his family's home. His family did not want him there, and that's how that last 6 felony trespass ensued. But he had recently been released from the hospital, and he's just really struggling with the basics of stability. He anticipates availing himself of the interstate compact once an Adams County and Gilpin misdemeanor case are wrapped up. He does have support in Nevada and has housing in Nevada. But my concern is just really just kind of time and money and his health issues. He does manage his mental health well, but he does have some pretty serious mental health conditions that it takes a lot for him to stay on top of. He's very cognizant of those and has a good degree of self.
Yes, Kelly, but they were already on the jury when they were tampered. Bobby's not on a jury yet. I was just talking to him.
Awareness as to what he needs to do to create stability in his life so he does not end up in an episode between a medical complication, a pretty upset stay at the hospital, and being in a pretty bad place as far as just that mental health piece. It all kind of added up, I think, to a situation of desperation, and really he was trying to contact his family and not to victimize the community in general. So I wanted the court to take that into account.
Certainly. So you get the second to last word here. This is your opportunity to help me appreciate and understand what happened, how you feel about it, what you might do differently, because my obligation is to impose a sentence that reduces the likelihood you're ever going to do that again. What would you like me to know?
First off, Your Honor, I want to apologize to the honorable courts and to the respectful office of the district attorney for my presence here today.
I need to apologize. You're here because of what transpired.
Yeah.
That's what our job is. So,
but it shouldn't.
You might need to apologize to your family for how you handled it, and if and when that's appropriate. But that you don't owe the court any apologies, and especially if you're struggling with an illness, I apologize to you that the system isn't better designed to provide you support and assistance.
I have had a rough couple years. I've had mental health difficulties since I was a teenager, and I've been able to manage that for the majority of my adult life. Kind of white knuckled through. I've seen some doctors over the years, but nothing substantial. And then things got pretty out of hand. There was some new things happening to me. I ended up losing a job that I had for 20 years. My mother passed away during COVID, and like a bunch of different things. And then the relationship, I was in that relationship for 23 years. We have 3 children together. It was a mutual breakup. We grew apart, and everything snowballed, and I'm not making any excuses. There's no excuse for what I put my family through. It hurts me every day. I think about my children every day. I mean, I was there for all their births, and what I can do now, I have my mental health issues manageable now. I take a medication twice daily. I'm going to have to do that for the rest of my life, but I'm to a point where I'm lucid and I'm able to remember things and it's kind of been easier because I've been in custody and taking the medication. It's like on schedule here, so it's going to be not a challenge. It's going to be something for me to deal with when I'm out of custody. My mental health comes first. Without me able to manage that, I'm not able to do anything else in life. So I do have goals. I have hope again. There was a while that I didn't have any hope because I felt alone and I felt embarrassed because of what was going on. But I think now I do have hope. I do have goals. I have my family out in other states. I've been in this valley for 31 years, but I don't have much family support here. It is a small mountain town. I was feeling that shame and I couldn't go to the supermarket without looks or whispers. So I have a cousin. She has a bunch of properties in Nevada, and she's offered me a place to get on my feet.
What part?
Las Vegas. It's not anything luxurious or anything. She was smart and bought a bunch of property in Nevada when it was cheap, and now she's doing pretty well because everything skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a treatment plan. I see a therapist. I have a doctor. I have medication.
Okay, guys. Sally Port's here. Hi, Sally Port. If he gets off at 9, I'm already 15 minutes late. If he gets off at 10, I'll be early, but I gotta go. Tiffany's here now. She's gonna take care of everything. And I will be listening in the car, but I can't text or anything because I'll be driving. I'll see you all in about 8 more hours for the next stream. Love ya. Here's Tiff. Bye.
Next is employment and probation. So I'll do what's required and then take the steps. I really want to be in my children's lives. I know me leaving the state is a tough one. It was a tough decision for me to make. It's not impulsive. I thought it through. It is something that I should do and I should take advantage. I was living out of my car for just about a year, and that's where a lot of these problems were. My vehicle was stolen with everything I own in it. All I had was the clothes on my back, and that was recently. That was in February that happened. I apologize. I missed court. It was right before I had to come to court here. But now I have my family helping me out, and I think I can successfully complete probation. I was worried for a while. I hadn't been in trouble for quite some time, 15 years or so, whereas I kind of was in and out of jail as a teenager and a young adult. So I think maybe I do have the tools to be compliant and stay out of jail.
Well, I'm guessing you have the tools when you're not having an episode. The challenge is when everything starts to crash and burn, what you can do when you have little ability to understand what's happening around you other than you're just getting sucked into the crazy. And I appreciate that. You didn't say what your diagnosis is, and if I'm interested to not to be intrusive, if you want to share it.
Bipolar 1.
That's what I thought.
Throughout my butt, I have schizophrenic symptoms now.
I'm sorry for that.
And that was the new stuff that was happening to me. I started hearing things and seeing things that were not there, and they were super real to me. It got scary, got ashamed.
Here's the best thing I can do to try to help you out is the shame part of it is I understand and appreciate where that comes from. And we as a society have historically done a really horrific job of blaming people and making people feel bad for having a medical condition. Bipolar disorder is a medical condition. Of course, the good news is I'm sure you probably are aware of some other people who have shared the same diagnosis you've had. So Abraham Lincoln.
Wow. I did not know that one.
Yes,
Wow.
he supposedly had bipolar disorder, so he did okay.
You did okay, right?
Van Gogh, pretty good painter. Same thing. And I can go on, and you can Google famous people who, and so my hope for you is rather than feeling embarrassed or ashamed of having something which wasn't your doing, and you're really working, it sounds like your best to try to navigate how that looks, to kind of really work on those tools that when things start going off the rails, yeah, there's a high probability, almost certainty, you will need to be on medications the rest of your life. Here's the hard part, is your body chemistry changes with time and with age, and so what drugs work today might not work tomorrow. The dosages might have to be adjusted, and it's always going to be a work in progress, and that's part of the challenge of having the disorder. Things you might want to consider, though, is do you keep any kind of log as to how you're feeling on a given day? So if you start noticing that there are symptoms that start arising, it's a lot easier to address it when you're just beginning to see the onset of those issues. Then all of a sudden, once that train leaves the station, you're running as fast as you can down the tracks to catch up. Or anyone who's trying to help you is probably chasing that train and not able to catch up either. And I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
It makes a lot of sense, Your Honor.
And so to do that, the one thing, though, that I'm not sure whether you have done is, what do you do for support? Aside from just simply getting involved in taking your medication, getting involved in therapy.
Yeah. I have no base yet for support because this is all kind of new.
Sure.
The log thing, I just started that here in Eagle County.
Okay.
I just started the daily log because the medication was working and I was feeling better. But it wasn't, I was having my ups and downs. There is no warning light. There's nothing that tells me like, hey, you're going to have an episode tomorrow. Or
No, of course not. And that's why you keep the daily log. It's not going to be perfect and won't work all the time. But at least if all of a sudden you're noticing 3 days in a row you've had crappy night's sleep, that's a good time to say, I better go reach out and get some help.
Right. I noticed like a change in my appetite. Like, why am I not hungry for these 3 days? And usually I'm starving all the time. And little things like that. And so I have been keeping a mental health log, but it's more than just a mental health log. It's kind of it relieves some pressure that I had, but I need to find more. I can't do it on my own.
And that's my suggestion is until you find that place where you can be stable, it's hard to develop a community or connections. But shockingly, you're not alone in having that diagnosis. And to have people who, as much as, I would love to say, I get it, I understand it, and I think I understand it better than a lot of people, I don't suffer from that diagnosis. And so I'm maybe a good person to be a cheerleader for you, but I don't know if I ever would fully, entirely get what your experience is. But if you could find people who know, wow, you're losing your appetite, and you're trying to lose weight. Wow, that's really awesome. And then all of a sudden you realize you're off the rails, and all of a sudden but I might not have the same understanding or appreciation. And so a group like NAMI, I don't know if you've ever reached out to, or been involved with them, that's the National Alliance of the Mentally Ill. There's a Mental Health Colorado, which I'm sure there's a Mental Health Nevada, if that's where you're going as well.
I have some anxiety there because I know Colorado, their mental health forward, especially Eagle County. There's so many grants and things here that give support and help for mental health. I'm not sure what Nevada has, so I have some anxiety there. That's why I thought about it.
I'm sure they have resources too. They might not be the same. They might be better. They might be worse. My point to you is the best thing for you is to kind of acknowledge and recognize, yeah, I feel a little uncomfortable about this, or this is a little scary. I'm afraid it's not going to be what I need or what I want. Well, if you stay in that space, you're stuck. If you take the leap of faith and say, I'm going to find the courage to find who else out there can maybe provide me a little bit of support or services or whatever. And again, part of it is getting the medication, right? Part of it is having the therapeutic intervention. Part of it is just having a community of people who get you. And so what I'm suggesting to you is once you land in Las Vegas is a pretty big place. And the other thing I would also suggest to you is that if you go someplace and you think, gosh, these people are weird or I don't like them or whatever, don't say, well, try that. I guess it's not going to work. Find a different group. There are definitely enough entities in Nevada that if you can find...
I have options.
Yeah, and so if you don't find the right one on the first time, don't despair. Don't say, oh, that was hard. I'm not going to do that again. Say, well, I tried. This isn't what's working. Don't make something that doesn't work stick with you, because that's not going to work then.
Yeah.
Stick it out and find
What works.
Yeah.
Miami, Nevada seems to have quite a bit as well. In fact, one of their resource options are schizophrenia and psychosis care guide, care advocacy and engagement. If this is a new development, Miami, Colorado has much the same. So National Alliance on Mental Illness, and there's Colorado and Nevada. And I bet any other state is just Miami, the name of that state.org.
Awesome.
It's a good resource.
Thank you.
And to the extent that I don't know how much the schizophrenic components are important to you, one of the things that totally changed how I looked at mental illness, there was a TED Talk by a woman named Ellen Sachs, S-A-K-S. And she suffers from schizophrenia. She's had multiple hospitalizations. She went to Oxford. She went to Yale. She graduated from law school. Despite having even to be hospitalized along the way, despite being absolutely psychotic out of her mind, somehow or other, because of the work she did, she now is head of something called the Sachs Center on Law and Mental Health at USC. She's a tenured professor there. And somehow or other, because of the support she's found, because of the community she's found, she's been able to overcome that. She received a MacArthur Genius Grant. That means they recognized her value and her contribution in the area of schizophrenia and mental illness. She talked about things like the experience of restraints, where she would say the professor she was dealing with, her support system would say, oh, well, it's great to put people in restraints because then they can feel safe and secure and they're not going to hurt themselves. And she's talking about how absolutely terrifying that experience is. I don't know if I would have agreed with the first people who were telling, and she was saying, these are the people who know me. They just don't know me. I'm the one who gets restrained. Do you know what you're saying? Do you understand what that experience is for me? That's the kind of support I think that might be really helpful for you, is to know I'm not weird. I'm not the problem. I have a problem, and there are people who probably can appreciate and understand that. And if I can understand where I start losing my perspective, my ability to be rational or make good choices, I already have a plan in place as to what I do then. Does that all make sense to you?
It does. And I appreciate that. This is kind of a surprise to me that you guys would be this supportive and in-depth on these things that I'm dealing with.
Because if you don't get the support, you're doomed. I mean, it's kind of like if you see somebody who's having an epileptic seizure on the street and you just kind of walk by, to make sure at least they're not biting their tongue or swallowing or whatever, that who would ever think, I mean, yeah, there are people who would do that, but it's the same thing with what you've got. I mean, what you have is, I mean, I think more people have made comparisons to things like diabetes and other stuff. If someone's having a diabetic episode, no one's going to say, oh, gosh, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And that's what people sometimes tend to do with people with mental illness, and that's horrific, that's shameful. But I think that's hopefully changing a little bit in some places, and you need to embrace that, and you need to champion that. And to the extent that you can, you seem like and then with the last thing I wanted to kind of intrude on your life with is with respect to your kids. One, the more healthy and the more stable you are, the more value you are to your kids. As to whether or not it's going to be a hard road to figure out what role you might even have in their life, think back in your life and think of who has had the greatest impacts on you. They're not the people you spend the most time with usually. Yeah. It might be someone who you only have 2 encounters with, and that's the stuff you remember, and that's the stuff that's important. If you could figure out how and if, even if you have to wait for that to happen, can I be that person for my kids? I'm not getting my visit today, or I haven't seen them in X. That's not what's most important. It's one, making sure you're in a place and you're there and available when they are to be that person for them. Does that make any sense to you?
It does.
And so that hopefully will make that, whatever that journey is, a little more tolerable, because I think for a lot of people it's like, but I'm better now. Why can't I fill in the blank? If you kind of take a deep breath and say, yeah, that's might feel better, but in the big picture, to be able to have that role in their life will feel so much better.
It's not that easy to have that kind of patience. We want,
of course, not
everything to be good and well by tomorrow.
Of course, but that's why you have a therapist, and that's why when you get to where you're going, if you have other people who have had that same experience, who can hear you, can listen to you, and support you, it might make all the difference for you.
Thank you, man.
Anyway,
I appreciate this.
Sure. So I will follow the recommendation. I'll put you on 18 months supervised probation. It sounds like I can't make that concurrent because the other cases still need to get resolved, but that's certainly this court's intention. To the extent that you haven't, have you had a drug and alcohol assessment already somewhere along the way?
Possibly in Adams County. I filled out a bunch of paperwork there.
If you have, great, that's sufficient. I just need to make sure probation has that, and if they don't, you need to make sure it's done. And here's the other thing. I keep on saying it's the last thing I'm going to tell you, but I keep on coming up with more. Is understand that also having the diagnosis you have, when you're in distress and the medication ain't working, the thing that you're going to want to do is feel better and have relief. And sometimes that could be alcohol. Sometimes that can be drugs. And understand that the worst thing you can do for yourself, and I said a few minutes ago, that your medication levels are affected by your body chemistry, which changes over time. But then when you add any kind of extra substances that automatically change your body chemistry, you might think or be searching for relief, but you're making it that much harder to get there because you're messing with your body chemistry. And so anytime you think, oh, well, I just want to have fill in the blank, if you indulge that, you're just saying, I want my medication to not work and I want it to be harder to get back to a place where they might. And if they're not, definitely reach out to your psychiatrist to get the help to find out what that balance is. But if you don't do that, it's going to be so much harder for you, one, to get stable where they can find what that right balance is. It might go back to where it was. But here's the problem, is because you've already changed your body chemistry, the old dosages aren't going to do the same thing. And so you're just sabotaging yourself something awful.
Yeah.
And so things like just keeping routines and other stuff can hopefully be really helpful to you as well. Anyway, other than that, with respect to the protection order,
Anything about vacating?
Okay, so for the time being, that's going to remain in effect. If that changes, I'm sorry if that means that it's going to be a while to get any more normalcy. My hope is, though, the longer and the more stable and more successful you are, hopefully they'll get word and they'll want to have that relationship with you. But don't let that define who you are or where you're going. Any questions?
I don't have any, Your Honor.
Anything else I'm missing? Wish you the best of luck, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I do have an advisement of rights form and plea of guilty. In this case, it looks like you're intending to plead guilty to identity theft and M2 felony. That the people are...
No, it would be a, wait. Was it not a, hang on.
That's what I've got in the file.
Oh, no, it's an amended count. It's a class 2 misdemeanor identity theft.
Yes.
Yes, not the felony.
No, did I say felony?
Maybe you did. Maybe I just heard felony, but that's what I stopped for, so we can proceed with the class 2 misdemeanor.
It's an M2 misdemeanor, sir.
Yes.
And that the parties have agreed to 364 days of probation, and that you won't return to the state of Colorado without court permission, and that there would be restitution entered in the amount of $2,438.73. Is that your understanding of the agreement, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, you reviewed the plea paperwork with your attorney?
Yes, I have.
Did you understand it?
Yes.
And if you had any questions, did you have enough time to speak to her?
Yes, I did, sir.
And were you satisfied with the representation you received?
Yes, I am. She did a great job, actually.
Great. And you understand that when you enter a plea guilty, you're giving up certain rights?
Yes, sir, I do.
You understand you're giving up your right to remain silent,
Yes.
your right to be presumed innocent,
Yes, I do.
your right to have a trial to call and confront witnesses, testify, and have a jury determine whether you're guilty or not guilty. You understand?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And you're giving up certain appellate rights as well. You understand that?
Yes.
Other than what's in the plea agreement, has anyone promised you anything to entice you to enter this plea?
No, sir, they haven't.
Anyone threaten or coerce you to enter this plea?
No, sir.
So it's voluntary?
Yes, it's voluntary.
Are you under the influence of drugs or alcohol?
No, sir.
Any medical or mental health conditions that would affect your competency or capacity to enter a plea?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm at work. I just didn't hear what you just last said. What was that?
I was inquiring as to whether or not there was any medical or mental health condition that would affect your competency or capacity to enter a plea here today.
No, sir.
Knowing all that, the charge of class 2 misdemeanor identity theft, do you wish to plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty, sir.
I'm sorry?
Guilty, sir.
To the misdemeanor, Mr. Stillwagon.
Yes, guilty.
Thank you. Okay, any factual basis that the parties wish to present to the court?
Nothing further from the people, Your Honor.
No, this is a solution really designed to keep Mr. Stillwagon where he is. He does have some good things going on. He is not interested in returning to Colorado. The restitution isn't for direct losses, but one of the owners of the personal identifying information sustained some financial loss attenuated to his loss of his card. Mr. Stillwagon is agreeing to that in exchange for the resolution before the court today. The 364 days is designed to not trigger the interstate compact.
Understood. Sir, is there anything you'd like the court to know before I enter a sentence to help me understand who you are, what happened, anything that will assist me to impose an appropriate sentence?
Obviously, I just would like to say that the whole ordeal was just, it was a big misunderstanding. Somebody else's stuff was in my car, and I got pulled over trying to get my girlfriend to a hospital because she was having a seizure in the car. And it was blizzarding. It was a blizzard coming down, and I didn't even know what town I was in because they shut down the interstate. So I was like just trying to figure out how to get my girlfriend to a safe place so she can get some help. And that's all that really happened. I mean, I didn't even really know that the wallet was even in my car, to be honest with you. So I mean, that's just and it was just it's unfortunate that the person that said that the impact statement or whatever, it said that he had a bunch of stuff stolen out of his car, which it wasn't me. I didn't do it. I was nowhere near wherever he said that the stuff was when it was stolen. I wasn't even nowhere near where he was. So I don't know how all this came about with me. I mean, seriously, I was on my way back home, passing through, and I'm sorry all this happened. It's been taking a lot of time out of my life to deal with this stuff, and I was really scared that I was going to go to prison and lose everything that I've been building up out here in Washington. And it's been a long time since I've actually been doing so well for so long, and I would have hated to lose it. My kids, they need me. I've been working hard, making good money out here as an electrician, and I'm happy that we came to a resolution, and I appreciate everybody's understanding and help.
Thank you, sir. I will follow the agreement. I will impose 364 days of probation. Based on the stipulation, I will approve the restitution that's being requested. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. The plea document disappeared. Here we go. I will impose $2,438.73 of restitution. You may not come back to the state of Colorado during your time of probation without permission of the court. Anything I'm missing? Okay, best of luck to you, sir.
And Mr. Stillwagon, I'll go ahead and email you that restitution order and the contact number for the court clerk in Eagle.
Let's call Scott Kniepa, 2025 CR 190. Please, good morning. Have a seat, please. Good morning, sir.
Do you mind if we take this? Thanks. I think you should just get out this. Do you want me to take this? Yeah, it's okay. Take this. No.
Should be probably. I just wanted to be sure he was still on the docket because it was a review that we kind of moved up. But I'll be back at 11:30.
Are the parties ready to proceed to sentencing?
Ready?
The people are ready, Your Honor.
And are there any additions, corrections to the PSI?
Nothing from the people, Your Honor.
I don't have anything to add. Correct.
And the state may proceed.
Your Honor, in this case, we would be requesting for a 30-day jail sentence and 3 years of supervised probation in accordance with probation's recommendation. Besides one probation officer who was on the panel, it was the rest of them agreed that some sort of jail sentence and a period of 3 years of supervised probation would be appropriate. Given the nature of the allegations and the PSI, we do believe that a jail time is appropriate given the conduct that had occurred during this case, along with supervised probation. We believe would be beneficial to the defendant, as it seems that there seemed to have been anger management or mental health issues, potentially resulting in or playing a part in the events that occurred on the date of the incidents of the date of the offense. So that's why the people would be recommending a short jail sentence along with that 3 years of supervised probation.
And just as a way, sorry, there was something you said which was a trigger for the court, and I just want to make sure I understand that if in fact it's just an anger issue that's unregulated, that certainly would absolutely justify a jail sentence. If it's a mental health issue, wouldn't the proper intervention be a mental health assessment in dealing with that rather than to incarcerate someone who has mental health issues?
Your Honor, we do believe that at least that it's mostly stemmed from anger management issues. There is, it seems that there might be the potential for mental health issues. And I know during the trial, there was a point where we did take a break just because of the heightened emotions in this case. But given the fact that this defendant has had other cases, most recently, one misdemeanor that was dismissed as part of a plea, and then another misdemeanor following kind of the similar sort of aggression and anger management issues, we do believe that it mostly stems from these anger issues, and which is why we believe that that jail sentence would be appropriate.
Thank you. Counsel.
All right, Judge. I think we have to. I mean, we're not asking for DOC or anything like that. I know we're in felony land with this eluding
I've
case.
never had a defense attorney ask for DOC.
No, I know. So I'm going down.
Actually,
the
I take
line.
that back.
DOC, jail, probation. I mean, to me, it's a probation case. I do want to talk about the top charge here. It just, I know 100 times out of 100 times, if he pulls into that parking lot and says, "Hey, sorry, officer, I live right here. I saw a bus over there. It just felt safer to park over here." Nobody's charges in this case. It just wouldn't happen.
No, I mean, I heard the trial, so I'm very familiar with what transpired and what could or should have or whatever. And I guess the concern is really, I mean, as much the risk your client put himself in by having kind of the encounter he did, and what was the rationale, what caused that, and what the court can or should do to address that, because the last thing the court wants to see is...
We'll get to you, Scott.
Yeah, we'll get to you in a second. You'll you absolutely will get to speak.
Yeah.
And so again, the issue is as much as to that kind of dynamic elevates the risk for law enforcement. More important, it elevates the risk to your client, and arguably, if his family is coming to assistance, to have all of that mess going on, just to me is a scary thing for everyone.
We're absolutely getting there. So
go for it. But again, you don't need to go through the laundry list of all the possible penalties. I know what they are, but I also think I have a reasonable assessment of what went down and how the court...
Absolutely. I know it would stand out in your mind. You were here for 2 days.
May I answer this one?
No, not yet.
You'll get the sense.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath, and if you need a minute before your attorney starts babbling on to just get your balance again, by all means take the time, and I'll give him the time to take some deep breaths too.
And maybe we should just cut to the chase, about whether this is, I mean, the prosecution can't say it any better. Like it is an anger management issue. There's certainly, some dysregulation, and I'm not a psychologist, but it just seems like a term people like to say about these types of situations where they're stressed out and their response becomes angry from a perceived, as Scott will get into, this fear that he has of the police. And so that was his response. But we do have to look at the acts a little bit in terms of addressing whether it's a community safety risk overall, because look, it was an emotional response, a verbal emotional response, not a physical response. Like if he had been violent towards the police physically, I think there would be a stronger argument to this. And it did not reach that point. I think this is a fair thing to say.
Sure.
It did not reach that point. Okay. And so, and we saw that, Scott. And so realistically, it is a mental health issue. I really strongly believe that's the type of rehabilitation that he needs here, some supervision from the court, not to be incarcerated, but to have the community care about him. And you look at all these letters that came in. There are a lot of people out here that he's helped over the years and he's been involved with that really do care about him as part of this community. And ultimately, I think we all want to see him rehabilitated to the point where this is never happening. And we started taking steps right after trial. Like I tried to have this little powwow with Officer Churches, and really just this little kumbaya of like, can we all just look at each other and say, hey, we could have, Scott obviously has to take the lead here and say that it was his, fault, right? I mean, we're accepting the judgment, right? But we do want to understand that we're all going to live in this community peacefully together, and Scott needs to understand that, and I think he does. But that's really the coming to kind of Jesus part of this, is that, hey, let's try to accept some of this mental accountability rather than a jail sanction. So that's what I got to say about that. Yeah, I think Scott might want to say some more.
I really do want to hear what you have to say. I mean, to me, this whole case is something that totally should not have happened, but there's something that was going on with you that triggered that disproportionate a response to, yeah, they probably made a bigger deal over something than they needed to. But, officers have an obligation to de-escalate. But similarly, you need to know that the more you keep on raising the temperature, the higher the temperature of the officers are going to be in terms of their level of response and their level of concern. And to me, it's just kind of a common sense that even if you think the cops are being total jerks, that if you respond by trying to be more provocative, they most likely are going to be even bigger jerks than they were when they started. And again, my biggest concern is I don't want to put them in the situation where they're feeling right or wrong that there's a threat. But just as important, I don't want you to end up getting hurt either, or your family, because they're knowing that, hey, you're a great guy. And does that make any sense?
Absolutely, Your Honor. Yeah.
So please help me understand what was happening, what's going on, and what we can do so that that ain't going to happen again. I mean, just for what it's worth, I live in Avon. I have real big issues sometimes with law enforcement in Avon, too. At the same time, I also have, because what I do, I know that they also do some pretty positive things as well. And so it's kind of they're human, we're human, and how can you make it so that you can, even if you have some issues, you can work through that so you don't get hassled?
Yes, sir.
Sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Have you had a chance to read the mitigation letters yet?
I've had glance to them.
Okay. Yeah. And so I just want to start with the remorse. There's definitely some remorse on my part. I understand how fear begets fear, and fear creates secondary emotions like anger. My emotional state that night is not who I am. It's not who I want to be. I am completely apologetic and regret using all the profanity I used, and the directive that I took. It is very much out of context, and unfortunately, in my opinion, I've learned a lot. And during my trial, I remember having a minimal discussion with you about education, educational pursuits, and at a certain point in my organizational leadership studies at Chapman University, I realized how important learning another language was, being able to see the world through a different language. And one of the greatest things I've learned in this experiential circumstance, going through the trial and this court thing, are the language that's used in trials and around the courtroom. My favorite is voir dire. Part that breaks my heart is to have watch again an already lacking amount of trust for officers, which happened symbolically or not on the 4th of July. I pointed to a girl who was being smashed by a man, not in uniform. That that guy looked like it was a domestic dispute of a boyfriend hurting his tiny girlfriend. I immediately get spun around by a police officer, and he says, you're impeding an investigation, you need to go. And I said, that's not right. I said, that's not right, is what I say in the video. He grabs my arm, and I pull my arm away. That I'm remorseful for. Apparently, in not being advised that you're being detained, but pulling your arm away before is aggression. So I regret and have been through the I don't know, in my opinion, a very lenient sort of solution to the most physically intervenous that I was in all of this. I believed up until that moment when the cops that night on the 21st of September, I went to leave my house for the first time in a few months. I had started my mitigation to this July 4th trial. I had already looked at what can I do to stay out of these circumstances, everything you are just advising, and I agree with. I had not been driving my car because I felt targeted in that car. The night that I went in that car to the Avon Rec Center, they said, we're closing in 20 minutes. So I went to the outdoor workout station, at which I looked up and saw the officer who later on saw me during a routine traffic stop shining his lights across from the Avon library to me working out. It already brought me into an anxious state. I don't understand for what reason a person who's been an in-school suspension supervisor who understands how difficult it is to tell children or other citizens that it's important to follow the rules, a father who's always been an incredible father, and for the first time in my life, anytime I've had some sort of problem with authority, has really recognized and seen and been on my side. This instance of an eluding circumstance was, and the officer said this, it's the totality. Well, we redacted the first bit of audio saying, hey, we're behind him. The totality of the entire thing never needed to exist. And this is also why I previously and told my lawyer about this and asked for this evidence to be introduced during the trial. I called 911 because, I live directly across the street from the police station. So seeing officers is not uncommon, but having them follow me through the roundabouts in Avon a few times in which I didn't go to where I'm actually going just to see that they continued to follow me really brings this to what maybe you guys want to call a mental illness or the diagnosis that I have from my therapist, PTSD, because on the night where I'm celebrating my favorite holiday, freedom in this country, they locked me in a cage, and I did not feel like that was appropriate for saying, hey, that girl who weighs less than half than you doesn't need that type of physical intervention. You're not protecting anybody. This isn't peace officer activity. For that, and I think because of that, that entire thing was sent to a competency evaluator, of which I told my competency evaluator, I still believe that the Avon Police Department, who are the ones that were in Vail on that night, including churches, were the ones that are going to be standing for a moral discrepancy here. I told my competency evaluator that. She said, you're competent. I hear your story. I understand all of this. I avoided police for another however many months until they had a routine. I mean, when you watch the video, I don't know anybody that as I drive through those roundabouts that drives those roundabouts differently. Aside from not blinkering on the way out of that roundabout, and again, there's no probable cause to even be following me, to be pulling me over. Why would I call my dad and say, hey, they're doing this to me. They're following me. Can you please come outside and witness this? He came outside and witnesses and says, back up. On the video, he's backing up. And I have another officer under oath saying, he's still approaching. Who's visibly on direct evidence, walking backwards. So for me, I'm in a spot where I want this to be lenient. I don't believe, and I guess I can't ask again because it will ruin my chance for an appeal. But I think that eluding, I now can understand that this could be staying in my car and telling the officer literally, I'm afraid of you. I don't want to be physically assaulted again, and then get physically assaulted. I understand that part being obstruction because I'm keeping myself in the car, but eluding, And again, obstruction from eluding from the totality of it, these officers were already ready to create a criminal. And I'm not a felon. And I was planning a trip with my son to go to Canada this summer, the birthplace of my grandmother. I've helped tons of children in this valley. I helped a kid get off of cocaine, had a social security intervention of which I learned a lot. I've taken anger management class. I've taken a defensive driving class, which on the other side of the defensive driving class, it says, if a car approaches you fastly from behind, give them space, which I'm doing to the officer before he puts his lights on. If you're going to pull over, don't pull over in front of a police station or a fire department, which is the next only other option. He said there's 17 spots under oath for me to pull over. There's 3 parking lots that have literally the space for a car to pull in or back out. I pulled into the parking lot that was the most well lit, regardless of it being my house, the most spacious, regardless of it being my house. And under 20 seconds from me seeing the lights and then hearing them and the bullhorn as I'm blinkering to pull into a space and him saying, we're still having some sort of high-speed chase here, but it's still routine. But there's also another officer who's here under 30 seconds banging on your door saying, reach for your wallet, but don't reach for it. Reach for your wallet, but don't reach for it. I'm in a spot where I'm remorseful for the way that my emotion took over, but I also told you this in this courtroom and fired my public defender because she said, don't stand against this. They'll become vindictive. And what happened? I just can't unput all of this actual, real, tangible evidence in any different way. So maybe that is mental illness. But if you ask me and you ask the people that I asked to write letters and the people that I've explained this entire situation to, there seems to be something here that is not right beyond me saying some profanity to the police.
Thank you, sir. Before I became a judge, I think I kind of shared a certain antagonism with law enforcement that I hear from you. So it's not completely unfamiliar to me, but in the work that I do now, I've come to have a different relationship with law enforcement because they're not anonymous. Once you get to know who they are and what they are and how, without question, there are bad cops. If you want to validate how you feel, there's a guy in Chicago, I used to be a public defender there, called John Burge, Commander John Burge. Look him up, and if you want outrage of bad police behavior, I guess it can come worse than that, but it's hard to imagine. And so again, if that's where you're at and that's what you want to validate,
Can I just say something of that? Just because that even during the voir dire was, do you like police or do you not like police? And to me, that already set me up for this really unfortunate position because when I grew up in Minturn, one of my 10 most common interactions was with Lorenzo, the police chief of Minturn, who used to joke with us, make fun of my best friend's bike because it was baby blue and pink. When I lived in California in Chapman, the public safety officers at Chapman were my friends. The police officers in Orange County were my friends. In Hawaii, I went to an officer off duty, or not obviously, but went to his house multiple times for a barbecue. I do not in any way generalize and believe that law enforcement is unfounded and in any way unnecessary. But what my personal experience, which I think everything in this world, a police officer, a pope, a judge, there is a dichotomous existential reality to that person's character. It can be good and bad. It can be more good than bad. But what happened that night isn't coming from me going, hey, all police are messing with me. But this entire situation is blatantly, I literally told, and I feel bad. Jesse was right. This has made me into a more angry, less peaceful person. It has made me into an indignant person. I feel bad for firing Jessica Dennis. I probably would be in a better place had I accepted the previous plea deal to July 4th. But I just cannot in any way agree that I need to be made and farmed into a felon. This is a farming of a criminal here. And this is what is important to be seen. It's not, I'm full out against law enforcement. I believe in law enforcement. I think the society would fall apart without this system. But I also believe, just like humans, the system also takes on an ability to adapt and to have quality improvement, just as we do as individuals. And this moment here, I mean, I said this to you during the trial again. I previously came into this for a year, into this courtroom on record saying, hey, this is what happened. This is what happened. Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? It took forever for Jessica Dennis to receive all the discovery for July 4th, which there's a huge discrepancy in that video, which is a whole nother channel to go down. But I'm again, there's not a part of me that wants to in any way hate police. I believe in police. I told Officer Churches that here. I said, I understand how difficult, and I said not completely how difficult, but I understand how difficult this can be. I was the in-school suspension supervisor. I have empathy for that dynamic. But where I stand is so depleted and broken and unable to be a very creative and positive insertion back into this community because of, I mean, what actions, and that's what I'm asking, what different actions could I have taken aside from immediately getting out of the car and laying down on my face, which I don't know if you guys think is what everybody should do when they get stopped. I'm asking for a real, genuine, honest look at this, an honest look at who I am, an honest look at the circumstances that were highly redacted in the case. And I never want to again stand and have the words read, the people versus Scott. I am the people. I've been the people for a long time. I believe in this nation. That's why 4th of July had been my favorite holiday. Another remorseful part is that I had more than 2 drinks, 2.5 drinks on 4th of July, which definitely created my moment to intervene with that girl. And I didn't need to do that. But, you know, if I am that girl's father, I believe that I would appreciate someone like me doing what I did. So it's a very difficult moment, repeated difficult moment for me in the past year and a half. I've done nothing but look at my moral character and look at ways to make it better. That's where I'm at. I do not and will not survive being put in a cage again. I recently found out from a good friend, his parents, that they sued the sheriff's office for my friend Nathan Simon, who I didn't know actually what happened or the circumstances of what happened to him. I knew he was struggling with substance abuse, but I didn't know actually what happened to him. To me, it's enraging. I think that there is a video out there, a movie called The Paradox of Paradise, that really should be re-examined. The entire police force should actually re-watch this thing and believe in the things that they're talking about in this video. I don't think that just people who have millions of dollars in this valley should be protected under the law. I think everybody, and the reason that we have so much surveillance, so much ability to look at everything is to actually bring forth the entire story and say, hey, what's happening here? Who's pushing who? And in my opinion, the biggest reason with taking my 4th of July plea is there hasn't yet and will not be a moment of aggression or violence. My arms are in the air the entire time. I'm in a moment of fight or flight, yes, but I didn't try to fly, and I definitely didn't try to fight, aside from words that I regret.
Take a deep breath for a second. I appreciate.
Yeah.
You know when you're ready to listen.
I'm ready.
I appreciate and understand the agitation of everything that transpired. This case is not about what happened on July 4th, at least not directly. But as I listen to you talk, it sounds like, yeah, you were totally trying to be a good citizen, and it's important that people do that. I think since I don't know everything about what happened that day, it sounded like something went awry where maybe you started in the right place, but something and whatever transpired shifted that from being the knight in shining armor to someone who made the situation more difficult. Whether that's accurate or complete or whatever, it seems that somehow or other there was a shift in what transpired to cause that kind of dynamic. But it seemed like you got left in but I'm just trying to do the right thing here. And that's where I think things got derailed. On the one hand, there's sometimes I kind of wonder in the back of my mind, I wonder what would have happened if this were a bench trial and I got to make the decision of guilt or innocence here. But at the same time, I totally can see, having watched the same evidence that the jury watched, how they came to their conclusion. And so on the one hand, hearing your explanation here today, I can appreciate and understand that you weren't looking to create a fight. You weren't looking to hurt the cops or anything like that. But I can also see that in that moment, given your emotional charge at that time, it was insightful and provocative, and it kind of made things so much worse than they could or should have been. I understand that law enforcement does have the right to be obeyed even when they're acting arguably unlawfully, where it comes to things like resisting arrest, and that may be unfortunate. Maybe the law should be different, but that is kind of what it is. If they're in their mind, in good faith, initiating a proper arrest, you got to comply. And if it means lying down on the ground, as humiliating and unnecessary as that might be, you don't need to follow the lawful orders of a law enforcement individual. And when you say, I'm not getting out of the car, lock the door or something, that's where I think the problem does shift from being them to being you. If it's them, and this sounds so hollow, and I hate to be the one to say it, there unfortunately are potential remedies after the fact to hold law enforcement accountable. So that's the first part of what I think you need to try to hear and understand. The other thing is, to the extent that law enforcement can know who you are and see all of the letters that you submitted and have some kind of a relationship where they know you by name, you know them by name, the likelihood of that event happening the way it did is so much more reduced. And as I said, there are certainly bad cops, and there have historically been some pretty bad cops in Avon. They usually send them up to Leadville. I had to deal with that up there when I was there. But there are also some pretty nice guys. And so I kind of, when I'm at a concert at Nottingham Park, I go out of my way just to have a chat with one of them, just, hey, how you feeling? What's going on? Because hopefully then if I do end up ever being pulled over by them, they'll say, oh, I know who you are. And then all of a sudden the relationship does it. I mean, there was a part of the time during the trial I was thinking, if you're convicted, I'm going to order you to actually do some work with the police department so they get to know who you are and you get to know who they are and know. And it sounds like intuitively you know that, but it sounds like with these particular individuals, I think there might have been some history with one or more, maybe more than one that's changed that. And to me, that's really unfortunate because when you've got two entities, meaning law enforcement and you trying to make the community a better place, and you're working in different, ultimately working in opposition to each other, that doesn't help anybody. And that's kind of how I look at all of this. So, on the one hand, I don't think this is a case where jail is appropriate, but I really hope to God that you can kind of either maybe even, I assume your attorney might even have some of those videos, and if you take a deep breath and say, this isn't you, but I'm looking at some other guy where this encounter is taking place, it might not be as offensive to you to appreciate or understand that actually I could see how what I was doing just made this all so much of a mess that it didn't need to be. I understand and respect how with the PTSD, if that's what you have to struggle with, that's kind of what created all this to occur. But it's not going to get better if you don't properly address that PTSD. And that's kind of where I'm mostly focused. Because again, it wouldn't have taken a whole lot more for someone. I mean, if you watch the news, there are people who get shot over minor encounters with law enforcement over probably less of a provocation than what happened that night. And that would be a horrible, horrible, horrible tragedy. So the way I'm going to deal with this is I do think some kind of, you did create a risk for the community, even if that wasn't your intention, by the way you conducted yourself that night. And that's what I need to address. That I wouldn't call it punitive, but there needs to be a way of addressing that. And the way I kind of look at it is it's kind of one of those lemon situation where you need to make lemonade. It's not good, especially with your PTSD. My guess is incarcerating you anymore will just simply exacerbate you, the situation, your relationship, and your ability to walk away having anything positive come out of it. At the same time, as I said, that evening, the way you handled yourself created a risk to the cops, created a risk to you, a risk to the community, and that's what the court needs to address. And so what I'm going to do is I will put you on 3 years of probation. It will turn to be unsupervised as soon as you get your useful public service done and at least have initiated. And I don't know what kind of active treatment you're engaging in right now, but I am going to require that you do get support for the PTSD. And if that also means joining a support group for other people, I mean, my daughter has suffered horrifically from PTSD. She's endured a lot of trauma, and she needs both the support, but she also needs to confront the stuff that's caused it, that exacerbates it. And I hope you have the self-awareness and the commitment to want to just, I mean, you'll feel better if you properly addressed it. And that's what I think, if I can do anything, I can help force you to have to do a little bit of that work, you'll end up in a better place at the end. Second thing, as far as trying to have some kind of, I don't know if retribution is the right word. Here to me is also an opportunity. It sounds like you do many good things in the community. Sorry, I guess as part of your sentence, you get to do more good things for the community. So I'm going to impose 240 hours of useful public service. They ask for 30 days of jail. I'm giving you 8 hours for every day they want. To me, my guess is you probably do close to that anyway. And whether that's simply doing something with some community group that supports cops so you can be their hero as opposed to their adversary, that's fine. But it sounds like you have enough different things that you get to pick what that looks like. But that's not an insignificant amount of hours. I think under the circumstances, that's probably the best I can do. But again, you need to, Lord knows there are mechanisms to try to make law enforcement more effective. I mean, when I started being a lawyer, community policing was a new thing. Then it became the thing. That's important. The fact that they do now de-escalation training is a good thing. In the last year or two, I think the current federal administration kind of frowns upon those positive things. I disagree, but I think to get involved in things that promote that kind of revision or modification of how law enforcement practices, to me, is a good thing. And if you want to work on those activities, more power to you. Accomplish what sounds like your goals are, but you've done it in a way that hopefully does it in a way that you can build better relationships. I had a fellow who I worked with when I presided up in Lake County that kind of did the same thing. All of a sudden, he went from being the person who was getting arrested to being probably one of the more powerful advocates for police reform up there. And he was listened to, and he made a difference, I think. That's where I hope you end up. So, anything else the court needs to do other than that? It's term probation. So like I said, just you need to work with to show probation that you are in some kind of mental health treatment, whatever that looks like. That will satisfy that component. And then the use of public service, like I said, you find the thing that you're most passionate about. If it's still doing something with kids, that's great. If it's doing something with law enforcement, that might actually be ultimately more satisfying to you. But like I said, to me, it's my attempt to make lemonade out of lemons. Good luck to you, sir.
Hi, Mr. Pello.
Good morning, Your Honor.
I thought Mr. McCusker might join us from the assisted living facility.
Yes, I believe he is. I think he's on virtually.
Not unless he's on something that hasn't yet let him in. Oh, I didn't even recognize that was. Hi, Mr. McCusker. It was so black that I didn't even know it was a screen. Mr. McCusker, do you have a camera that you can show us?
Let me see. Sorry, I am trying to figure this whole thing out with him.
It's okay. Just so that my record is clear, Mr. McCusker is at his assisted living facility, and it sounds like he's being assisted by somebody there.
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying.
Okay. Well, if you can get the camera to work, great. And if you can't, I'll just have Mr. Pello tell me how things are going. Mr. McCusker, how are things going there?
Let's see. You want to answer her while we figure this out? So, all right. I don't understand why it's not showing.
Now I have a pretty conference room that is, whoa, probably not.
There you go.
There we are.
Hey, Mr. McCusker, how are you?
I'm present, Your Honor.
You're present. Okay. Mr. Pello, do you want to give me an update?
Judge, so we are set for
the
status
day
today.
to the hour since I've come to this facility.
So we had it set for status today to make sure Mr. McCusker got out on the personal recognizance bond, and it actually started at the Park Forest Care Center. He is there. He has started there. I believe the court has changed the order so that it's outpatient restoration services at this point.
I would hope so.
Well, I'm certainly not going to put you back in custody now that you're doing well at Park Forest and assuming that you stay there, Mr. McCusker. I'm just trying to figure out.
To my home, Your Honor.
I know you do.
And I
I'm just
didn't
trying
hear
to figure
from
out
my
if we
attorney,
hang on
though.
1 second.
So I have no clue as to what's going on.
Do we have a restoration order or want one? I do see a review of inpatient, which is from back some time ago.
I had seen some back and forth discussions regarding changing the inpatient order to outpatient, but I don't know whether that actually got accomplished or not.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it got accomplished. Ms. McClintock, at this time, do you want to keep the restoration in progress? Or is the case ultimately going in a different direction where it doesn't make sense to use restoration resources?
Well, we need
No,
restoration.
Mr. McCusker, hang on. I'm asking the DA, not you yet.
I think we're in a holding pattern at the moment.
Yeah,
So I would prefer the outpatient restoration services.
Okay. The court can change the order to outpatient restoration.
Good.
I would suggest we set it for a status in 60 days. I think this is heading ultimately towards a dismissal. At least I'm hopeful of that, but there's not enough time in yet. So I think we should continue or
Not
change
enough
it to
time in for
outpatient
what, Your
restoration
Honor?
services at this point.
Or deputy,
Just to correct.
Wait, Mr. McCusker, you're
Hello.
talking so much that I can't hear anybody else. Just like we always do. I will hear from you, but I got to hear from the folks in the courtroom first, and I can't do that when you're talking over everybody.
Just to clarify the record, it isn't a dismissal. It would be a termination. It's
That's true.
nitpicky, but
Right.
That's
Okay.
true.
So it sounds like everybody agrees that the court should change the inpatient restoration order to an outpatient restoration order at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Mr. McCusker, I heard you say earlier that you want to go home. And that's still not a possibility right now. We've had lots of conversations about what the court would need to see about what home would look like before you could go home. And the last that I heard from Rodney with Bridges and Mr. Pello was that the situation at your home isn't real close to a place where you can go. And I'm telling you that because I really want you to make the best of your situation at Park Forest. I know it's not as good as home, but it's way better than jail. Would you agree with me on that?
I'll invoke the Fifth Amendment, Your Honor, with all due respect.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I don't want to be cited for contempt.
Okay, that's fair. I really, really hope you'll work hard to make it work at Park Forest, because I want you to know
with no choice.
If you blow up Park Forest, it's not going to make the court send you home if home isn't a stable place. We can keep on working on home, and I'm okay.
And I haven't seen a doctor yet. It's been 3 weeks. I haven't even seen a doctor yet. Nothing has happened except I've been warehoused in a place slightly better than jail.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
Time is running out, Your Honor. Just like everyone else is, only faster.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. McCusker. I'm hoping that things will start to feel like they're getting better for you. I really want you to stay there and make that work, because I don't want to see you back in jail. We worked really hard to get you out of the jail, you maybe most of all. So let's not endanger it. I can set for a status in 60 days. That would put us into mid-August.
And meanwhile, what am I supposed to do for money? Or, you know, I'm not even getting my $3.80 a day.
I don't really know, Mr. McCusker, what kind of financial needs you have. You should probably talk about that with somebody other than me. Perhaps Rodney with Bridges or Mr. Pello, but that's kind of out of my...
Well, can I get Mr. Pello's number so I can maybe call him?
Sure. Are you ready to write it down?
Yeah.
303
303 825
Yes, 9600.
9600.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Pello, I could do the status anytime the week of August 10th or Monday, August 17th.
I can do Monday, August 17th.
I'm still alive.
August 17th.
Would that be at 9 o'clock, Your Honor?
If I'm still alive.
If you're still alive, Mr. McCusker, but hang in there. Do what you need to do, okay?
Is Mr. McCusker authorized to appear virtually?
Yes, as long as he is still at Park Forest.
Gotcha.
If he's not at Park Forest, then I need to see him in person.
Okay. Mr. McCusker, I'm going to be in court much of the day today. If you give me a call tomorrow, I'll be able to talk to you on the phone for some time.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll see you on August 17th, Mr. McCusker, at 9 o'clock in the morning. Take care.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks.
If we could call Mr. Teasdale, who appears in custody via WebEx from the Jefferson County Jail.
Yes, Mr. Teasdale, good morning.
Well, we're done.
Yep, awesome.
Good morning.
60 days.
Let me see if I can get Mr. McCusker's window out of here. I can't even see it.
Okay.
It's muted now.
Yeah, it's muted now. Good morning, Mr. Teasdale.
Good morning.
These are 25 CR 998. Nope, just 25 CR 998. Mr. Teasdale appearing in custody in Jefferson County with Mr. Sullivan and Ms. McClintock for the people.
Colin Sullivan for Mr. Teasdale, who appears virtually in custody. Today, Mr. Teasdale is prepared to admit a violation of his probation. We'll be asking for the court to revoke and reinstate his probation with all original terms and conditions for a new 2-year term beginning today.
Is that right, Ms. McClintock?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, Mr. Teasdale, is that what you want to do this morning?
Yes.
I think.
The only thing is I'll be out of custody on July 16th. He was saying that I should report to probation today if I get reinstated. Is that correct?
We'll make sure that as soon as you're released from custody, you need to report to probation. So
Okay.
we'll make sure that probation knows you're going to be in custody until July 16th.
Okay, great.
Okay. And you're going to continue to do probation in Boulder, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Do you want to admit or deny that you violated probation in this case?
Admit.
Court will accept the admission, finding it knowing, involuntary, and intelligent, and I will revoke and reinstate for 2 years, reporting to probation after you're released, and we'll note that it won't be for another month, just so that probation knows not to expect you until then.
Okay, great.
Anything else, Ms. McClintock?
Just that we have completed VRA, and the victim does disagree with this offer to resolve. I attempted to explain that Mr. Teasdale has been in custody on serving a sentence and has been largely unable to comply. So hopefully this reset will get him connected with probation. The really important thing is that he pay restitution. And I think, this is a good opportunity, and it might not happen again with probation. So,
Mr. Sullivan, anything to add?
I explained all of that as well to Mr. Teasdale, and he is hopeful that things will go well, and that when he's released from custody, he'll be able to do everything he needs to on probation.
Sounds good. Mr. Teasdale, it sounds like people have talked with you about the importance of complying a couple of times, so I'm not going to make it a third. Good luck. I hope it works out after you get released from custody.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, take care.
You as well.
Mr. Guard.
Thank you. Will you call Mr. Mata's case, please?
Sure. Good morning, Mr. Mata.
Good morning.
These are 24 CR 1242 and 23 M 1051. Mr. Mata appearing on bond with Mr. Guard and Ms. McClintock for the people.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you recall from the last court appearance, the global offer was withdrawn and not accepted by Mr. Mata. We appeared in Longmont last week. We set both cases for trial, one in September, one in October. The reason I didn't just admin continue this one is I wanted you to see Mr. Mata and know that he has enrolled in the Canyon View Recovery Program.
That's great.
He is in the first phase, which is somewhere between 45 and 60 days of basically inpatient treatment. They allow him to come to court, but basically that's it. That's followed up by IOP, residential sober living, and that next phase will be trying to get him into an employment situation. And then the third phase will be him in sober living, working, doing those things. And so, doing this more for himself, I guess, than anything else, not for the court or anything else. He realizes from the JV case that if he wants to have a relationship with his infant son, that he's going to have to daughter, sorry. He's going to have to be a person that is responsible enough for that responsibility. And so Mr. Mata is doing everything he can. And so it's our hope that this all goes swimmingly, everything goes well, and that we can either approach Ms. McClintock again about resolving the case, or just simply go into an open sentence situation, sort of armed with that. And again, he's been in contact with probation. Probation is very pleased that he's going there and has kind of said to him, if you do all the things that you're doing and do them successfully, then I would support you being back on probation. But if you don't, of course, we're looking at ComCore and other ramp ups in terms of supervision and those kinds of things. So he knows everything that's going on, but I wanted you to see and hear from that in person today.
Thank you for appearing, Mr. Mata. I'm glad you made that decision. I also saw that there was a request to alter the protection order that just got filed. Ms. McClintock, maybe you didn't see it.
I haven't.
It's been filed in the Nedra also has filed one through Mr. Emerson in her case. They're both seeking to remove no contact. They've both been explained that their expectations should be low at this point. But I think although we request full contact, again, if the court is not so willing, we would at least like to graduate contact to electronic communication.
When I read the request, I took a look at the JV case again to see what had changed. I see the paternity test is back and it confirms what you probably already knew, which is great. But there isn't a plan yet because there hasn't been the finding of dependency and neglect. So where I stood, Ms. McClintock, and I'm just telling you this so that you know that you don't need to make an argument if this is also where you stand, is that I'm okay with altering the protection order to say contact as necessary to facilitate any orders in 26 JV 30106. And so by that, I mean that if the folks who are much more closely managing visitation in that case should choose to set up visitation with both parents at the same time, that wouldn't be a violation of the MROG, but that I was not inclined to do anything beyond whatever the JV case thinks is appropriate and necessary, at least not until Mr. Mata gets a little more Canyon View time under his belt. That was my thought.
I'm not prepared to respond today as I haven't seen the request.
It looks exactly the same as the last request.
Okay. But my hesitation, I'm not sure if the court is going to be, well, maybe with your thoughts, Judge, is that going to sort of have the protection order in our case sort of dictated by the JV case? If so, I've been finding it hard for law enforcement to figure out what the actual contact allowed is in the CR case. So I am not sure that I would agree with contact being dictated by the JV case, only because when law enforcement will look at the CR case, they'll see a protection order as dictated by the JV case, but then I don't know that they can actually look in the JV case and see what's allowed. So
it might make it easier for them. Mr. Guard, do you have any reason?
I have some thoughts on that. Mr. Mata is adequately represented there as well by Mr. Patton. And so right now, Mr. Patton and I are kind of in constant communication. If there is a change in the JV case, there is a plan and contact is being sought, I will notify the court and Ms. McClintock and file that into this case so that it will be not just whatever happens in that case, we've got a standing order that's okay. I will make sure that we have a specific order in this case that permits whatever contact is being suggested there or not. I mean, Ms. McClintock may object. You may say it's not the right time. He may drop out of sober living and be on the street. We don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to certainly inform the court of any changes in that case and file anything that's appropriate to facilitate those orders into this case. Okay. And that'll give everybody enough time to think and consider and come up with a response and all that kind of thing.
So essentially, I think what I hear you saying is that you're conceding that there would be no contact right now because there is no plan in the JV case yet.
And assuming that you're not going to order any changes this morning to allow electronic communication.
I'm not inclined to
And
do
so
that at this time.
it's, as Mr. Mata knows, it's a prove it deal.
Yeah.
Keep making progress, keep doing well.
Yeah.
It's up to Nedra to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Keep making progress, do well. And if those things are happening, then things will start to thaw and he will, will start to work and request graduated contact. Yeah. But again, as far as the JV case, if they are looking at parental reunification, if they're looking at doing some supervised visitation, that's their aim. I know that's where they're going to be trying to head.
Yeah.
Then I will notify the court. I will notify Ms. McClintock. I'll get her position and I'll file something and I'll come to court and we'll discuss it here in person.
Yep, that sounds good. It would surprise me if the JV case started to do visitation with the both of them together under these circumstances.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too, Your Honor. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I was going to say that too. They're really dictated off of this right now. That's why they're not ordering anything like that, is what my lawyer told me. And also, I have seen her a couple times. I just want to tell you, I've been able to hold her and stuff, so that was good. Actually got a visit today and tomorrow, this afternoon. And I'm going to have Ken supervised visits pretty soon, so I can have her all day. So everything's going very good. The caseworker in that case is like, dude, you're a good dad. It's crazy, but it's good. And I just want to tell you that I'm going to stay on the right track no matter what.
Good.
So don't worry.
Good.
And, I assume, I don't know where the mother's at right now with all that stuff, but if she's making the same kind of progress and she's having the same kind of success that he is, then I think at that point it will start to converge, but that's certainly not at this point.
Yep. Mr. Mata, I want you to take care of the things that are in your control right now. And one of them that remains important to me is that you not have contact with Ms. Webb until the court says that that's okay. Know that, because it wasn't that long ago when you were really upset and you told me that you were going to do what you were going to do regardless of what I said. And that is not helpful to you in the JV case. And it's not helpful to you here.
I understand.
So part of this is me, and I suspect the DA also, seeing if you're willing to follow court orders. It would help if you did.
That's why we asked to do it the right way.
Yep.
I was hoping to at least so we could talk about her on the phone and what she wants me to do with certain things. Okay.
First, you follow the order.
Yes.
And then the order gets relaxed once that's gone on.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm glad you've done what you've done.
Of course. Me too.
So we need a new
Need a new date. I guess what I'd say is I'd rather not wait till the end of October date. Because that's when we're setting the trial. Let's set a placeholder date, and because I'm sure he will be asking me about contact and all the other things. Let's set a placeholder date. If there's nothing that's happened, nothing for the court to consider, then I'll admin continue that one. But for now, let's at least have a placeholder date somewhere around 30 days.
Or after the motions hearing.
Motions is August.
You don't want to wait until then?
You know what? Let's set it for after the motions hearing. And then if something needs to be addressed, I'll just get on the docket that way.
Okay. That's fine with people.
When's the motions hearing?
13th of August.
Maybe we go the 17th or the 19th then?
Let me just double check that. I'm going to no, that's a dumb trial right there. I'll come in on August 17th. And again, I'll talk to Mr. Mata and let him know that if we need to come in earlier and do something, things are happening, then we'll get on the docket earlier. Okay.
17th?
Yeah. 17th at 9.
All right. I'll see you on August 17th at 9. Mr. Mata, keep doing what you're doing, okay?
Of course. Thank
See
you.
you on the 17th at 9.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Guard?
Well, I thought I'd write a happy song. I found a chat room where I belong. You don't know how much it means to me. With such a groove, I'm less lonely. but her joy she can't hide. Oh, Kathy's the creator, she's leading the way. At court vibes, we laugh and we stay. Her style is classy, she's always top shelf. Don't take my word, come and see for yourself. Her cases are new with a twist or two. I really like them, I believe you will too. A little lifeline passed along in rhyme. Why don't you join us? It's a guaranteed good time.